So welcome to How to Live in Love. My name is Alexander Bell, and you can download the free book, which is in partnership with this podcast, also entitled How to Live in Love, written by myself, from my website, alexanderbell.org, where you can also download all of my music that I've composed over the past 20 years, which is also free. You can read hundreds of articles on the subjects of spiritual transformation, divine consciousness, awakening of the heart, healing the body, and nutrition, as well as enjoying some of the beautiful radio stations that I have on my website, full of beautiful music. And also there are several ecstatic dance meditations which you can try at home to help you release negative energy, fear, stress, tension, and restore a sense of joy and freedom to the body and to the heart. So that's all at alexanderbell.org. Now this particular podcast is entitled Healing Fear. So it's important to see the mechanism of psychological fear that operates within all of us, so that we can learn how to be free of its influence. Fear is responsible for nearly all human dysfunction, so it is vital that we free ourselves from the subconscious grip it has upon our heart. Only then can we learn what freedom truly is, and who we truly are. The way that fear manifests is that we have a thought in our mind about something that we don't like, something we don't want to happen. And our body responds to this thought emotionally. Our stomach churns and clenches. Our heartbeat speeds up and our heart tightens, and tension appears in our entire body. We go into a state of resistance, which is the opposite of openness. So this is how mental fears manifest as physical fear. Physical fear is essentially just tension. And when tension is released, to be replaced by relaxation, it is impossible for fear to remain, because fear and tension are inseparable. When tension dissolves, there is openness and ease. This is the absence of fear. So if we practice cultivating this state consciously, simply through relaxing or meditating, to the point where we can choose the state of relaxed openness in any given moment, then we learn how to master our body's response to the thoughts which appear in our mind. Fearful thoughts only keep returning to us because we resist them. We don't want them to be there, and thus, through pushing them away, we give them a power which they should not have. Therefore, they return to us over and over, so that we can remove the load which we have placed upon them, which should not be there. A loaded thought puts things out of balance within us. It creates a resistance which our body does not want. And because everything within our being strives for balance, the thought keeps returning to be addressed. This is why we should not fight negative or fearful thoughts, because we need to heal them, de-potentiate them, and restore them to their correct status. So we remove their power by noticing them when they arise, and allowing them to pass through our mind like clouds in the sky, while we remain in peace, totally unmoved and unaffected by their presence. We don't engage with the content of the thought, we simply observe its presence. This simple process of non-reactivity de-potentiates any loaded thought, so that it no longer has any charge, any power, any significance or influence upon us, and upon the emotional and physical state of our body. It's a bit like a dark thundercloud, which is full of energy and electricity, which needs to return that immense power back into the earth. That power doesn't belong in the cloud, but it gets built up and becomes something which appears and sounds to be very threatening, a thundercloud. The vast electrical power built up in that cloud must inevitably return back to the earth, and it does when lightning strikes. So when a dark cloud approaches in your mind, don't be afraid of the power it contains, because it is your power, that needs to be returned to you. It will not be dramatic, like lightning striking, and it will not hurt you. Just relax your body, be open to it, so the electrical power could be transferred from that cloud of thought back into your body, back into your heart. When you take this attitude, then you welcome the approach of such clouds, because you know they contain an energy which belongs back in your heart, an energy which will strengthen you and fortify your heart. So as we take this different attitude towards negative or fearful thoughts, welcoming them rather than fearing them, it means that thoughts can no longer disturb our peace. This obviously requires practice, because we are so used to reacting to the thoughts which appear in our mind. But it is an essential and very liberating, rewarding and enjoyable practice, because we are freeing ourselves from the energy of fear, step by step. Step by step means we have to do this process of de-potentiating. That means removing the charge of every psychological fear we have, because it is those fears which control us subconsciously. As long as the thought is connected to a powerful emotional or physical state, whether good or bad, we will either pursue or resist that thought. This is not freedom, it is slavery to thought. It means that the way we feel is at the mercy of our thoughts which arise in our mind. No wonder we have a society which depends so heavily on distraction and entertainment. These things take our attention away from all the anxious thoughts that keep arising, looking for healing and resolution. Freedom from the fears which keep our heart prisoner is true freedom, because when you have moved beyond the layer of fear, you discover there is no darkness, no negativity, no shadows, no doubts, no insecurity, just the undeniable and luminous reality of the divine truth, shining brightly in our heart and our mind. Of course, it would be great if we could just think our way there, just believe our way there, just convince ourselves that we are there. But the mind does not have the power to force this reality upon us. We have to willingly let go of and step out of the darkness in all its forms, conscious and subconscious, so that we can bask in the divine truth, which many refer to as God. It is a purification process of our heart, a retraining of our mind not to hold on to thoughts and concepts, but to remain open to the higher truth. It is the journey you are on now, and it is a deeply beautiful one. Just know one thing, that only the light is real, and all darkness is illusory. It poses no threat, so do not dwell upon it for one moment. Instead, dwell upon the beauty, the light, the goodness, the purity which exists at the very core of your heart. It is there, if you look for it. Focusing only upon this is what elevates you into higher realms of peace, security, joy and freedom, like an eagle rising high on the warm air currents. There is a force which wants to lift you up also, high above the negativity and darkness. All you have to do is let go of those things, those attachments to drama, conflict, victimhood, self-pity, anger and sadness, so that they are no longer weighing you down. And then the only option is to rise higher on the warm currents of love and gratitude, as we return to our spiritual home, where we bask in the divine presence of a universal intelligence which permeates our heart with its loving, benevolent, and deeply joyful essence. Thank you for listening to this podcast, and remember to visit alexanderbell.org to download my free book, How to Live and Love, all of my free music, and many, many more wonderful things. Thank you for listening, and I hope you'll come back soon. Goodbye.